Hello again, Pastor Mike here. Welcome to our midweek meditation. Hopefully everything is going well and people are doing good. I think most people should be back by school right now, and especially this area in Kendall County and such. So hopefully the transition back has gone well, both for students, for teachers, for parents, for even drivers on the road. Be careful on school buses, brothers and sisters. A moment of getting there 1 second quicker ain't worth a kid darting around a bus. Cost-benefit analysis on that. Well, it has been a good Sunday last Sunday. I know I enjoyed it immensely. Hopefully people were not too confused. We had a flip the last breakfast group, the breakfast group that was supposed to be on for Sunday, and me, who usually goes last on the Labor Day weekend. So the pastor donut extravaganza was a little bit early, so don't be confused. Last Sunday was not our last Sunday in Heritage Hall. This Sunday will be our last Sunday in Heritage Hall, so please join us for that. It will be a wonderful breakfast, so please join us. I know last week's text was always one of those fascinating ones. I know I started off with location and how the location of Caesarea Philippi, it would really have stood out about how, do you confess amongst the world? Because again, Peter confesses that Christ is the Messiah, not in the safety of Jerusalem, not in Bethlehem, but in this definitely height of paganism. And he confesses that he's Messiah. And I think it's always the question for us how we confess. And I really believe passion and presence, and hopefully that came through in the sermon, is that your passion for Christ and your presence on behalf of Christ often speak louder than our words. I know I often, when I am out and about, try to, be extra compassionate with folks, just as, that witness, that confessing Christ. Why are you compassionate? Why are you courteous? Because I believe in, this one and who he is and what he is about. And so living that, money talks, BS walks is the old phrase. But it's, the proof in the pudding is the tasting. That sort of concept, I believe, is behind it. But then we run into, in this Sunday's gospel, a direct continuation and a huge issue. You get this wild text where, Peter immediately in the text kind of flips, because Jesus says, the Son of Man must suffer and die. And Peter's not too happy. And so Jesus says, "Get behind me, Satan." In the space of how many verses do we go from, this, hey, Simon, son of Jonah, it is not, by flesh and blood you can confess such a thing, to "Get behind me, Satan." Peter is amazing with his highs and lows. And this odd reality is what I want to talk about on Sunday, of how, one, we can easily go from high to low, from to get something, but to totally mess it up. But also the important fact of, how does Peter mess it up? Peter messes it up big, and it's one of, I think, the great struggles that Christians have, that we can be very faithful, but we fall into this same trap that Peter does. But what I want to talk about briefly today is specifically the Romans text attached to this, and how I think that is really, in many ways, this Romans text, continuation of what I talked about last Sunday, and that's why I want to bring it up. It is this fascinating Romans 12:9-21. Let love be genuine, hate what is evil, hold fast to what is good. Love one another with mutual affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not lag in zeal. Be ardent in spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in suffering. Persevere in prayer. Contribute to the needs of the saints. Extend hospitality to strangers. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another and do not be haughty. I love the bless who persecute you. Do not curse them. Rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. Again, presence. But I digress. Do not repay anyone evil for evil, but take thought for what is noble in the sight of all. If it is possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave room for the wrath of God. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, said the Lord. Know if your enemies are hungry, feed them. If they are thirsty, give them something to drink. No, for by doing this, you will heap burning coals on their heads. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Passion and presence, but also this important reality of our passions and presence and the gospel might not be met with a positive manner. So how do we respond? I think we respond with the grace that is talked about in this passage. And I believe it's wise because I think God in his infinite understanding calls us to live how he lives. Because usually what happens in those situations, if we're met with something not so positive, is it's out of being wounded. And you can't overcome wounds by wounding again, but by grace and compassion and understanding. I think most pet owners understand this better than others. It really illuminated me, getting a dog, is that, dogs that are wounded or cats that are wounded or when they're scared and terrified. I mean, think about the dogs and cats that you might know that don't like the vet. Greta does not like the vet. Greta is terrified of the vet. As soon as she sees the place, she crawls up my leg, and I'm carrying a small dog on my shoulder, and she is kind of trying to hide within my beard because these vet people. And it's wild because she is scared and terrified, aggressive with the people who are literally trying to keep her as healthy as possible. But do the vets be like, too bad, your dog, get her out of here? No, they continue to care. It's the nature of those things. It's often with kids. Toddlers get upset when they're overstimulated or frustrated and they don't know how to handle. They literally just don't know how to handle what's going on with them. And, I'm not saying you shouldn't set boundaries. I'm not saying you shouldn't have expectations. But to do that in a way that is compassionate and healing is the key. And that is, I think, the key thing for us to think about. Our passion and presence in the world should hopefully be a way of healing. The world is injured. Many people talk about corrupt, these sorts of things. If you hear me talk about it, I usually say broken. Like bones, like relationships, like all these things. It is an injured world. I believe Christianity in many ways misses the mark when they forget that it is our call by the one who is the healer of every ill to bring that healing to this broken world. Thoughts on these texts is what I have for you today. Grist for the mill, as I like to say. Hopefully this is good things to think about, lenses for the week, and good stuff to have hanging with you as I prepare and hopefully you prepare for Sunday. Blessings, brothers and sisters. We'll talk to you soon. Bye now.